You can keep sighing.
Hello and welcome to the Rules of Attrition here on Character Builder Radio for an off night but still whack as hell session of D&D. Let's go through some character introductions before Matt brings us back into the game, starting with Mac.
Good evening, all. I'm Mackenzie, and I play the character Judge Abel Smith.
Ryan.
I'm Ryan. I play Barman Horn. I'm a old dwarf who's spent his life running from death, but maybe has changed to running towards it.
Ooh, Angie.
I play Anu Metasword, Cleric of Torm. That's my description.
Okay, Ben.
I'm Ben, and I play Folker, a woodsman who's not in the woods and is not very happy at the moment.
I'm Emma. I play Hanoa Sumner, a warlock. Apparently, I'm not a fan of Githzerai, and I maybe worship this fish god now. Who knows? So, last I remember, we had a brief chat with an Aboleth, who from now on I will refer to as Malord, fish god. There was a lore dump, and then we got dumped into limbo. We fought a mind witness, and there were mummified husks of Githzerai, and there was the adorable corpses of Floomps. Folker tried to have the last one saved, but it didn't pan out. That might be why he is sad. And then the fish god was calling us back, so Barman and Hanoa were like, okay, peace, and we jumped into the well of this room. The rest were probably rightfully more wary and had to be forcefully pulled back. And then that's where we are now, back with our best friend and my god, Mal.
Oh, me?
Yeah, hi, Mal.
Well, let's see. So we'll bring it back just a second as
Oh, yeah.
Barman and Hanoa emerge from the shallow water of the cave floor, just as if they were standing up from a shallow pond. The slick, salty water falls from your skin, and you can taste the slight, greasy foulness of the water. Before you, the ancient beast has two of its giant tentacles raised to the top of the ceiling, almost out of view. Swirling between the tentacles are geometric shapes and symbols made of bright light, shifting and morphing as they dance about in a circular pattern in the air between these two massive appendages. The center eye of the ancient being glows with an orange-red glow, filling the chamber with its light. The water as you emerge glows with the same tangerine shimmer, rippling and cresting in small waves and swells. Seconds later, Anya, Folker, and Abel are swept from the rear stone wall of the chamber in a breaking wave of sea foam, crashing into the chamber's floor. Barman and Hanoa watch as their companions rise their head from the water, and then explosively vomit seawater and gas. Strange magical shapes fade into motes of vanishing light. The giant appendages slowly, almost gently, lower once again to either side of the group. The center eye fades from its brilliant orange intensity into the dull red glow of three oval eyes, bathing the chamber in a low reddish light. The shimmer from the water disappears, and the slick seawater turns reddish black again. Within your minds, you hear the five voices at once. I apologize, bipedals. I fear you might have tarried too long in the swirling chaos. And secrecy, avoiding attention, along with your safety, is paramount for now. I have seen your desire, and I granted you a glimpse of what was immediately possible to fulfill. I also sense that you are weary and in need of rest and sustenance. My servant, Hantoimai, will guide you to a chamber nearby that is free from intruders, and will allow you some rest.
You are very kind, slippery one.
Very, very well.
Perhaps any place too close within my city kingdom would incur instant enslavement should any of my brethren return and find your open minds ripe for temptation and domination. I find you interesting and worthy of your free will. During these changing and rapidly evolving moments.
Likewise.
That was a powerful
Great
ellipsis.
Mal.
Ooh,
If I may, I have a bit of a question.
I shall. We can entertain some discourse for now. But I would like to speak with you again in the morning. But go ahead.
It's your house, your rules. It can wait.
No, and he holds up his tentacle and says that ask away, but I do wish to ponder these missives, this codex, and these ancient epistles.
Certainly. I know that your realm is no doubt great, but out of sheer human flawed curiosity, does it affect those on the surface? Because there seems to be quite a bit of turmoil up above.
What are you speaking of? What does what affect?
Well, how far does your realm stretch? Is it endless, or do you control the surface as well? The above these caverns?
Directly, no, I do not. My realm is what you see. My physical realm is what you see, the kingdom city. And when he says this once again, that entire chamber is just kind of illuminated, or it's not even bright light. It's as if it's like this red light just extends all over this cavern, and once again you can see the city, which kind of goes down into downward steps and into this cavern and below, and you can almost see for like half a mile spires and bridges and domes and everything that just extends into the cavern, almost as if you're standing on a cliffside. You can kind of see into the cityscape beyond. It's as if it's almost like clear daylight, except that it's like this dull red, extending almost as far as you could see, as if, like you said, you were standing on like a cliffside looking out outside.
I think I understand better now. I thank you. We there's no need to discuss this right now. You rest and ponder as you need, and assuming that you will allow us, I believe we will probably do the same.
One of his giant tentacles is holding very gingerly like that muddy and sealed scroll, the 3-foot scroll that you guys had given to him. If there is nothing else, and he pauses.
In the morning.
Return tomorrow after your rest. I wish to contact one of my allies, and I would be amused for you to witness. Antomai is at your disposal, and will watch during your slumber.
Antomai.
Walking kind of towards you guys is it's a human male. He has short black hair. It's kind of slicked back. He's clean shaven. He's very pale, almost like a jaundice colored skin. He wears white linen robes, and he has a rope belt. He also is sporting some rope sandals. And he is kind of standing off to the side, to your right side, like further down the cavern. If you would have just passed by these two pillars, he's standing over there. He's kind of hold his arms across his chest and folded across his chest, and in the crook of this arm he has a rather large basket, like it's a wicker woven basket. He has some strangely sloped eyes, almost as if they're almond elvish in shape, and he's got a little a rounded more face, more than angular. And he's just standing there, fully erect, like with fully erect in posture. Jeez.
I've got a few
Meaning,
things
meaning
to
he's
say to
standing.
this.
I should rephrase. He's
No,
standing
no,
there.
no, we get it, we
no,
get
no,
it.
no, no, no.
No, we
with,
get it, we
with
get it.
very very good posture, straight back.
I'm the shithead.
No, no, he's fully torqued. We got it. It's fine.
Yeah, fully torqued.
Full mass. Let's go.
Should we direct
Walk-
him to the tug room?
I try and stand. I try and be as erect as him as well, but
I
can't
tried to
really-
fold my arms too, but I don't have like sleeves really to
I
put.
can't
them
really
into.
do it on
Like,
moment notice. Well, I got the warm up type of guy. That's me.
Shall
hey,
we?
I'm down to party.
In a strangely almost very soft,
Sensu-
an almost feminine-ish voice, Hentomi says, "Oh, this way," and then turns around and has the basket in the crook of his arm, and he walks about 50 feet further past like the two giant columns, further on into the cavern.
Is the city still lit up?
No.
Okay.
Once he'd shown you this, the giant beast kind of let it dim down. So now you're pretty much you're back to you have your lantern, which had I guess fortuitously had fallen and during this time and had been relit, and it's back there actually. And Hotomai hands it back to you.
Oh, I take it. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. That's very kind of you. You're a very generous person. I like your rope belt. It really matches your shoes.
Okay.
Okay.
He takes small steps, as if he's walking delicately and purposefully. He takes very small steps, and walks about 50 feet further down the cavern. The water, which had gotten somewhere between knee and shin depth, gets down to about his ankles, and then it's barely over his rope sandals. And you can see that there is almost like a side passage directly to your right, of which he goes and stands next to, and then holding still the basket in one hand, and bows and puts his left hand out and motions for you to enter.
I do a curtsy, but it's not a really good curtsy because I've probably never curtsied in my life.
Well, you better learn.
Go in.
It's a grand curtsy.
I'm gonna wait and let everybody follow
What's a
in.
curtsy?
And I'm gonna be like, please, Hantomai, please, would you like to join us for a quick drink? It is very good to see somebody else down here. Just but a moment, please. It's our custom to be respectful.
He replies, "Of course I will stay, but I do not need to imbibe, but I will be here."
That is very kind of you, and I'll motion for him to head in.
Okay.
As soon as he turns his back on me, I'm gonna cast Detect Thoughts.
Okay. And so he motions, and then I guess he walks forward 2 feet, and you see that he almost goes out of view whenever you cast Detect Thoughts, but
Okay.
you may cast it. And how do you cast it?
Just when he turns, like, casting Detect Thoughts, it's like... Oh, did my camera go away? What just happened?
Yeah, I don't know. What you're
Yeah.
talking
Okay,
There you are.
sorry. I cast Detect Thoughts by the somatic component. It was just me doing this. Maybe two fingers to the temple.
It's so stealthy.
I do like a quick, like, little... And in this hand, have my copper piece. Yeah, that lasts for up to a minute. And as he walks in, I'm gonna be like, Hantomai, how long have you been here? All this time, I'm just reading surface thoughts.
Okay. Everyone else, and take off your earphones until I signal you back.
Fuck yes. And turn off your stream.
You instantly get that there is something very strange about this, and that you cannot detect thoughts. There are 0 thoughts there.
There are 0, or is there like some form of a like fuzziness or anything?
No, it's not quite. It is a without it. There are no thoughts that you have ever used this upon a person before, that it's ever come like this before. Your spell is working.
Mhm.
It's not being blocked. It is working correctly.
Okay.
But there are no thoughts happening the way in which you understand them.
Okay, like I'm gonna say something that tries to like actively bring out a thought, like
Sure.
what's the, like, just to test it. I'm sure nothing will happen, but just be like,
Okay.
what was this place like when you first came here?
Okay. And
If you just tell me that nothing happens, we can go back to everybody listening if you want.
no, he responds, and I'll tell them after this. He responds pretty much and says, well, since I've been here, it's been pretty much the same.
But no, I get nothing, no images, no anything. It's
No,
just, okay.
no, there's the way in which this works, it does not seem to be working. It does not. It seems to be working correctly, and it is not picking up thoughts as you know them.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Barman is following close behind Hantomai,
Equally
And-
as erect.
and as he's walking behind him, he inquires and says, "Has this place always been as it is since you've been here?" And Hantomai walks forward and kind of motions you once he enters the chamber, and motions for you to look around the chamber. And as he does so, he says, "Well, it has been this way ever since I've been here. Nothing has changed." And then you see after Barman goes inside, goes into the room. Who's holding the lantern?
I think I took
Barman
it from
actually
him.
has
I
it.
think
Yeah,
I
you
took
give
it.
it
but
Barman.
Okay.
I can hand it to
So-
somebody who goes in the room or whatever, or I can hold it if there's enough room.
Okay.
Maybe would've
So
given
everyone's following the low glow of the lantern into the room. There's a small gentle slope to this room that kind of it goes from the kind of wet lapping hard packed mud, which was the floor walking underneath the seawater was a little bit silty, but it had been pretty packed fairly hard. And then you walk out from that gentle slope onto just a small sloping mud, and then all the dirt just goes away, and it kind of goes into stone, and it's perfectly dry. The room it still kind of goes to slope up. You realize that the ceiling on the far side of the room, and this room's only about 25 feet in depth and about 15 feet in width. But the ceiling itself almost goes down to about 5 feet on the far side, and it gently slopes up to about 20 feet at the entrance. There are several broken and rotted shelves which have collapsed. There's a number of different things on the shelves where they've been collapsed. But there's a large, 20 by 15 foot area of dry rock. There are several broken crates. There's a pile of apparently canvas tarps, and then there are several barrels lying about. These are smaller barrels, just kind of lying about that do not have lids on them. There could be things stuffed inside. Also, in the center room is a circle of rocks, and inside that circle of rocks there appears to be burnt, old burnt wood. So there's charred remains, small bricks, small pieces of charcoal, as if there's been a campfire here at some point.
I'm going to start gathering broken pieces of crate and bits of canvas and see if maybe we can put together something like a fire.
Before he does that, can I tell how long ago there was a campfire?
And I was gonna ask Hinto, do you get visitors often here?
Which one? Let's go with the what was it, Matt? What did you say?
Is there any way I could see if I could gauge how long ago this campfire was here?
Sure. You can kneel down and look through the campfire, and then make a survival check for me.
Okay.
Barman, as you go and look about, in some of the areas, especially where the shelves have broken, the shelves themselves are wood, but there appears to have been at some point there was a whole bunch of broken wood and pieces of actually cut lumber and such, which looks like it had been on these shelves before it had collapsed. So there's actually quite a bit of wood here. It's dusty and old, and some of the actual lumber itself that wasn't planed and planked into wood is really kind of dry rotted. But there's a number of pieces of wood which were planked, and those things are still fairly intact, even though they're broken into smaller pieces.
I rolled
Abel-
13 on that check. Yes.
Abel, looking at it, you're not exactly sure, but about the best you can get from there is that it's probably been within a month to 2 weeks. That's about the range in which you can get by looking at these things. It's not been extremely long, but it also hasn't been very, very recent.
Gotcha.
That's about where you get.
Okay. Thank you.
Hinto, do you often get visitors here, or is this your abode, or?
We have had recent visitors.
Oh,
Yes. A group came through. I'm not sure how to measure the time without use of the sun, but it was 4 people. They left in a hurry because they had displeased the master.
how unfortunate. Oh,
Were they
my
by
apologies,
chance-
Hanoa, by the way. Sorry, on
Oh.
you.
Well, glad to meet you.
You two have very similar names. Have you met in another life by any chance?
Similar?
One
Yes.
is Handonomai and the other one is Hanoa. Except he's a little more erect than you, but
Funny.
okay.
hmm
Do you
Where,
guys mind if I start the fire here?
please, my socks are wet.
I think all of us are wet.
I mean, yeah, the rest of me. Oh no! And I go in my bag and I want to check if my book has been ruined.
By chance, the recent visitors were they donned in red?
I don't recall too much red. There was a gray bearded gentleman who did wear robes. There was a younger man who had armor and did wear some red. And there was a smaller, shifty fellow with a mustache, which I admired. And there was a younger, I would call pious gentleman who was very nice and pleasing.
That's lovely. To clarify, did you admire the shifty fellow or did you admire his mustache?
I admired his mustache.
Fair enough. I understand that. I don't know if you know, but I've got a pretty good mustache. What do you feel about my mustache?
I
Is-
do enjoy nicely groomed facial hair.
Do I qualify for that? I got the 14
It
charisma.
Very bushy
That's fair.
and unkempt,
Oh, boy. I've been on the
But-
road for quite some time. I can't
but
kempt
it is
my...
but it is pleasing.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna make a fire now and recover my... whatever I was trying to recover.
I walk over into the room and did you say it was circular or rectangular? What's the general shape?
It's generally kind of squarish, I'm sorry, rectangular because of the dimensions.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not circular.
I'm moving wherever they look like they're making the fire. I'm moving as far away from it as possible and being in the room.
Okay. When you head over, kind of into the corner, you instantly realize that there's something that has been hiding in this room, and it kind of floats down from above you, and it is a jellyfish type creature that you've seen before, and it is glowing. Its tentacles are kind of glowing in a light green, and it kind of floats down and goes and kind of goes down, and its two stalked eyes look directly at you, and some of its tentacles kind of play around your head. You realize that this is one of the creatures that you saw in the place that you had gone to, except that it's quite green, and its tentacles are kind of like swirling around your head. It had been up in a corner, kind of hiding. But once you had kind of gone into the darkness, it came out and is kind of looking at you curiously.
Did I make it? So I made it to the corner. It was tucked away in the corner.
It was up in the kind of remember this was a sloped ceiling, so it when you had gotten back into that corner, it kind of popped out this way, and it's kind of in front of you, in between the two of you, and it's the rest of you guys see it as you see Folker kind of like sitting down in the most darkened corner, although even Folker, like the light still reaches you here, like you're not in darkness,
Right.
but this is the one that's like where shadows are playing back and forth in that corner, and you're to the left of you is where that broken shelf is, and then to the right there's kind of like a little bit of shadows thrown from a couple of those barrels, so you're kind of in a corner-ish, but this creature is putting off this small amount of greenish glow, and so you're bathed in these dark shadows and green glow of its tentacles, as one of its eyes is kind of looking at you, and one of its other eyes on its stalk is kind of circling about, looking at the group.
Okay. I don't know if I should roll an insight for this, but I know that I just because I saw, like, I've seen good people and bad people, so just because I saw one benevolent flying jellyfish thing doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to instantly think they're all benevolent flying jellyfish things. So I don't know, like maybe an insight roll or something for me to see if I think its intentions are good or bad.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. 21 on insight.
It's tough because it's so alien, because it has none of the body features,
Right.
or any kind of the things for you to be able to cue off of. But from what you're able to tell, it's moving very gently, and it appears to be completely benevolent. It has not made any kind of you don't even notice anything that immediately you would look at and think that is dangerous or harmful, and you feel a presence of some of the tentacles, which are slightly caressing, and it continuously kind of tries to caress around your shoulders and the back of your neck, and it has so many of them that it's tough for you to think about swatting them away. And as it does that, you actually feel a peacefulness that it's trying to convey, a sense of almost, because you rolled a great insight check, almost a sense of it's drawn to goodness, and it likes to be near and to touch you because it feels that you're a good person, and it almost conveys that through every time it touches, every little tendril that comes by and actually kind of brushes up against your skin. You just kind of feel, okay, that's all right. You don't feel a spell. You don't feel like you're under
Sure,
an
sure, sure, sure.
enthrallment. You feel like there is a benevolence.
So I'm just gonna sit down slowly and just kind of sit cross-legged and kind of bow my head down a bit and just let it hang out. And
Okay.
I'm gonna reach up and just touch it with my hand and so I'm just kind of sitting there and I've just got one hand up along its tentacles and I'm just gonna ignore everything else and just be there.
Okay. Yeah, and as it does, all right, it stays there, and you continuously get this feeling. You do sense that it wants to tell you something, but not in words. It wants to convey feelings to you, but it doesn't want to do so against your will.
Consent.
Oh no. I'm kind of raw after the last encounter.
Whoa.
Okay.
So
So it does not impart anything
no, like
against your will, but it will convey, and it does give a soothing sense. It also slightly turns from like it kind of turns from its green to a little bit of pink as it feels what had happened to you and that you've seen other of its kind and what had happened to them. If your mind dwells on that.
yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
much the only thing I'm thinking about at the moment. So
Okay. Well, it definitely feeds off of when you look at this thing and you're like, oh, I remember seeing other ones of you before. I'm kind of, and then it does, it feels the hurt that you had sensed in other ones of its kind. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, Abel, Anu, Hanoa, Barman, what else?
After I checked that the contents of my bag have not been ruined by our water adventure.
Yeah, the backpack that you guys have obtained was a very tightly woven canvas, and although some things the interior might have gotten a little bit wet, nothing important was ruined.
Right, because I would have centered that for sure.
Yeah.
Those visitors, do you remember any names?
I'm not sure that I had the pleasure.
Oh.
They left in such a hurry.
That is unfortunate. Matt, do I remember the friar of the Goshawks to be a young man?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. That might answer some questions.
I would also like to point out that as I'm building this fire, the way that I build a fire is to take these combustible materials and put them in a circle of rocks, and then stand around and wait for somebody to start a fire. Much like
I will start a fire.
Much like I do at the Renaissance Festival.
Okay. Barman and Abel, you gather enough materials and place it around the fire. You create your nice little teepee shape, and Abel's able to get this fire started very easily. It's very dry material, despite the fact that it's been nearby this water, but it's been in this fairly dry cave here. Both of you two, once you get this thing lit and get it to where it starts to burn, just the fire within here, and then with the slope of this the ceiling, the warmth pretty much starts to take over this room quite soon. It really starts to warm up the room. The sloped ceiling, the smoke and stuff seems to just hit the ceiling and then just pour right out into the larger chamber and just dissipate. So there is no smoke which stays within the room, and it just kind of rolls out towards that larger chamber. The fire creates like a nice warm glow within the room, and like I said, heats it up several degrees quite quickly. I don't know what else was asked. Anything?
I do have one question, if you don't mind. How did these recent visitors displease the master, we certainly wouldn't want to do anything
Oh, absolutely not.
offensive.
I believe they possessed something that displeased him. When he asked about it, they fled.
Mm.
What do you recall what specifically he asked for? Was it an item or an energy or I don't
Their
know.
souls.
It
Are there souls?
it was an item. I did not get a proper look. It was not my place.
Of course not. It's understandable. Thank you.
Do you stay here all the time, or do you ever leave the master's realm?
I have been here for quite some time. On occasion, I have been tasked to leave. I can leave. But I enjoy staying here, and I enjoy my job.
It's good to like your job.
Indeed. Hantoimai, what were the creatures that lived in the city nearby? What were the people who resided there, or the beings?
Although time is weird,
Very wobbly.
Yeah.
I have never seen many up close and don't know if I can describe them.
Are they
to you
purple?
properly. Not from the drawings I have seen.
Do they look like this?
If you mean, do they have tentacles on their face? They do not.
Did it?
I do have some provisions that you should partake of, all gathered from the chamber. And Hentomai brings over the basket at the crook of his arm and lays it down and opens up and says, "There's some cavefish and some very tasty fungus."
It's not nutloaf.
Well, we certainly appreciate you and your master's courtesies. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will be waiting nearby should you have need of me. And does a bow and then walks 2 steps backwards and then turns around and heads essentially right to the exit or the kind of entrance to this small chamber. Looks left, looks right, and then takes 1 step on the other side of the entrance, and you could still kind of see like partially like one of his sandals, as if he's standing on the outside of this chamber, so that he's not listening, not eavesdropping, but nearby in case you needed anything from him.
I look around. Do we see Folker? I couldn't remember if he said he was
yeah.
hiding or not.
Is there a
he's-
door? Can we
He's
close the
he's-
door?
There is not a door. This appears to be like one of these what Barman has described as tug rooms, or equipment rooms, or any
Closet.
kind of place that they would have the miners in this area would have placed a bunch of supplies.
No. We don't do tug closets with miners.
Fucking hell.
For fuck's sake.
You got to be
I'd
professional.
like to, I'd like to try to find a stick of some sort and maybe take some of the window linens that we have and make a bit of a curtain. We might need a little bit of privacy.
Well, is the smoke leaving out the? Which way was the smoke going?
It's going up the
Up the exit.
the ceiling and out the exit.
Mm, I don't
Okay,
wanna
never
smoke
mind.
it. Yeah, I don't want to suffocate us. How's Folker looking over there?
Volker looks. He's not hiding. He has just found the darkest corner, and he is kind of sitting there, with this strange jellyfish type creature, which has like a large, air sac two eye stalks, and then a bunch of tentacles that are gently floating around. Some seem to be kind of like they're not around his neck or in his thing anymore. He pretty much just kind of like has a hand up, and the tentacles are gently caressing like his hand and down his thing. And it sits there. It's got one eye which is kind of looking all about, and then the other eye is kind of looking back towards him.
Ooh,
He doesn't appear to be saying anything. He's just kind of sitting there pensively.
a friend.
Hey Matt, before I do anything or before anything else transpires, I would like to sit down, try to get comfortable, and begin the ritual for prayer of healing,
Okay.
which I can link that. Should I finding my character sheet? Spells. Where'd it go?
So we have a basket full of cave fish and fungus.
Among Us.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. If you want to look inside the basket.
Yeah.
Okay. You look in and you pull out. There are 14 of these cave fish, and the cave fish aren't huge, but they're not small either. They're almost about a foot. They resemble trout in their shape. They are completely blind and fairly almost translucent, but not completely. They have small specks, almost like trout, along their sides. But they appear to be pretty meaty and hardy. And then there are probably about 7 very large mushrooms, which look to be like I don't know, like the stalks are gone, but the caps of the mushrooms, and it's a little bit spongy, and they appear to be fairly thick, also mushrooms, fairly thick like caps of mushrooms.
I'm going to make a sandwich of mushroom cap and cavefish.
Cave fish.
I want to. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess I'll start cleaning the fish.
Okay.
I mean, I assume you don't just throw them on the fire.
Looking at them they have very, very, very thin scales. They're not very thick scaled, so the scales themselves are extremely thin, which lends themselves to the translucentness of it. They appear to be like fairly chunky, and if you want to get down to looking at, you can kind of see their guts and intestines, and their guts and intestines are not translucent, and so they kind of have a greenish color to their intestines, and then you look closely at their mouths. They do not appear to have sharp teeth. They appear to have like almost rasping, almost like a one big kind of tooth that kind of would be like similar to gnawing on something, almost like a radula. I don't know if you know what that is.
Is that the one you use to break the shell?
No, radula is what a snail has in its mouth that scrapes.
Duh.
It's like whatever the suckerfish are. Would probably.
Yeah, a suckerfish's outer thing. It looks like that these fish may eat algae.
I want to go over to Fulker and meet his floaty puppy.
Okay.
I approach cautiously. I don't want to scare it.
As you approach, you notice that the color as you approach changes kind of towards a little more blue. The tentacles that are nearby you start kind of shifting. The ones that are still in contact with Volker they're very green, and some are tipped in pink, and then the ones that get close when you approach turn kind of blue. But it does not flinch.
Doesn't run away.
It doesn't flinch away from you at all.
Who's this, Volker?
Huh?
You got a cute friend here.
Yeah, it's I guess
You guess.
it's like it's like the ones we saw in that other room.
Yeah. Hi, little fishy thing. Wiggle my fingers near it.
And as you do your you begin your prayer, but describe to us like what your prayer of healing. What is the? Because if I remember correctly, prayer of healing takes 10 minutes to cast.
Yes.
Okay, just describe what the ritual is if you want it to look like anything, or do you just pretty much sit down and begin just kind of praying? Are there anything physical that you use?
Aside from my pendant, there's nothing there.
Okay,
It's more of a meditation than anything else. It's just
okay,
kind of a quiet spot with good posture. That's important. And just staying as still as possible.
okay. Are you sitting near the fire, or?
How cold is the room?
I mean, the thing with caves is they're all pretty much the same temperature the entire time, which is kind of cool, and especially since you guys have been in water, um, that everybody is kind of wet. Now the contents of your pouches and stuff has stayed mostly dry, and backpacks and things, but the outer clothing and of everybody is pretty much soaked.
Oh, sure. No. Since I'm a soggy bottom, yes, I'll definitely be closer to the fire.
Okay.
But far enough where I can feel a little bit of warmth, maybe kind of encourage the prayer. But far enough away where I won't be in someone's way or have the chance that someone's going to trip up on me.
Okay. No one, everybody's kind of about their own tasks. Anybody have anything else before, like, in the next 10 minutes?
No, I'm just wiggling my fingers at the
Yeah,
jellyfish.
I guess I'm gonna chuck my armor and start dressing the fish to prepare them to be cooked. That's what I'm doing for the next 10 minutes.
Do you guys, did anybody actually hear? I know that you guys used to have a stew pot. Did anybody have a skillet or?
I have a little mess kit. Yeah.
Oh, you got a mess kit.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's got
How
like
many
a
mess
little-
kits?
I have a mess kit as well.
Okay. So
I
a couple.
do as well.
Okay. So at least with three mess kits, you're
Well, I
able.
have one.
Okay. Well, you only need
Sorry.
three, but with all those, well, actually, with three mess kits, you're able to lay out all 14 fish within those three mess kits. And if you're going to, do you want to cook the mushrooms at all, or are you going to leave that for somebody else?
I will. Yeah, I'll cook those as well. I guess. Do they
Okay.
need to be cooked? Have I ever seen a mushroom like this before? Probably not.
It's probably best to roast them.
I
It's
burn
a-
everything to a crisp, so it cannot harm me. That's actually how my purify food and drink spell works. I just
You don't.
burn
Just
it.
burn
you don't
everything.
get the poison. You just get the carcinogens now.
Yeah, the carcinogens are a slow death. Though.
Let's
I mean,
cook this
we're
steak.
delaying it.
Okay, so you begin preparing those, and everybody offers up their mess kit, and you're able to start preparing all the food to be able to be cooked. During barman, anything?
I'm just going to help with the mess kits and with the judge trying to make some food. Not that we have fire going.
And by help, he means stand nearby and look like he's doing something. Okay, cool.
Yes. I keep taking something from my bag and setting it out like I'm arranging it, and then I start putting it back into my bag, like back and forth until the food is ready.
Okay, so while Abel is doing these things, he's actually making the most amount of noise. Everything is quite quiet because he's doffing some of his armor in between the times in which he's laying all the food about. The only other noise that you can hear is the crackling of the fire, and then very, very low, you can all hear Anyu's voice just repeating a mantra and a prayer over and over again. And then every now and then you just hear as the creature just kind of moves maybe just a few inches or two. And after a little bit of time, Anu's voice kind of just goes away, and it's almost as if the fire itself sent tendrils of warmth into everybody, and everybody kind of feels better. They feel 14 hit points worth of better if you were down any. And it just kind of, it's a small feeling of just as if like a warm breeze blew across your face and entered you just felt warmth seep through the toes up to the top of your head, and then feel better.
And that would affect anyone in the room that needed a little bit of healing.
Yep.
It's up to 6 creatures. So, just putting that out there.
Hey, hentai bro, do you want some of this?
Oh, you're a cute little jellyfish. Yes, you are. Look at
The,
you, little tendrils.
The little jellyfish type creature after this disengages and goes and floats over and becomes a brighter green, and then goes and kind of its tendrils begin to delicately caress where Anu has been sitting and praying, and
Okay.
it turns it vibrates between shades of soft pink and almost like a hot pink, and it kind of like the tentacles just kind of rotate. So it seems extremely content, and all of its attention seems to be focused on you.
And I was like, I'll admire from afar. Okay.
I'm gonna try not to get sad because the last one of these I saw was not doing so well. I'd rather not cry in this session too.
It does it feels that sadness that you're trying to push away, but it actually imparts good feelings towards you, and it almost in a way you feel like it's telling you, don't be sad, it's okay.
I'm gonna put my hand out, give it an opportunity to
Attack.
attack. No, not the one with the mace, fireman. just put my hand out, just kind of gently.
Yeah,
So you do have one hand that is permanently a mace, is what you're saying. It's the other one you use.
I am a war priest.
He drinks her coffee like this.
She's got a cup holder on the mace. Super useful.
It's just a flask strapped to it. Sorry, please continue.
It seems to be content and fairly happy, and continues to be pink and just stays nearby. It doesn't seem to be imparting anything. You don't feel any different. You don't feel worse or better. It just seems to want to stay nearby.
Oh, fair enough, friend. I don't know if you eat dinner, but I'm sure we can set aside some provisions.
Maybe you call it supper?
Anything else?
I'd like to do. I'd like to ask if anyone needs. Does anyone? I'm a little tapped for healing, but if there's something I can do to help from the battle, if it's in my power, I'll do it, and if it's not, I'll certainly try.
I'm great. I'm gonna also make sure that my top layer of clothing I've laid out to dry near the fire, not like right by it. And I also want to look in the barrels.
Okay. In one of the barrels there are a number of dark rocks, and you recognize that they're probably lumps of coal. It kind of looks like coal, and in the other one, which is more empty than this one, the very bottom of that, once you even get close, you can start to smell that this one appears to have at one time been fairly full, but it's mostly empty. But you kind of reach down in there and it's a slick, and it looks like it's oil.
I needed something to cook the fish in.
There's oil. I don't know what kind, but there's oil and
I'm kidding.
rocks, coal. Bring more coal.
Okay. How much ambient light does the fire give off in this room?
Oh, plenty.
So it would be fair to be able to douse a lantern without hindering our vision.
The lantern seems to be mostly redundant. Now, without the lantern, there's going to be a few more shadows, but
Sure.
just in the extremities, just in the far corners.
Well, for the sake of preservation, I'm gonna douse the lantern, and I don't know how long it's been, but probably try to top it off just in case we need it.
Okay. You're able to fill at what? Well, I can't remember how many you've gone through. You've gone through at least
I've
one
got
entire
5
vial.
and a half
Okay.
left.
And you're able to fill the one vial that was completely used, and you're able to fill up the half. And
Okay,
you
so we're
guess
down
at the,
to 5. That's fine. Just trying to keep track.
As I'm putting the coal down, going, and turn around, I see Anya doing work on the lantern. I'm like, there's oil. I don't know if it's the same oil for lantern, but there's FYI.
I'm gonna walk over and I guess take a sniff.
Eventually you get to where you look at the oil and compare it, and it looks very comparable, almost exactly to the type of oil that you have.
Okay.
It may be a little bit darker, a little bit richer, but it still appears to be oil in which you would burn in a lantern.
Fair enough. I know if it's gonna burn, then
It'll burn.
it'll burn.
With a proper wick, it'll burn exactly as it
Sure.
did before. Like I said, once you're now just to the firelight, the only thing that has kind of changed is that now Fulker is even like slightly deeper in more shadows, and that just the flickering flame, you just catch every now and then. You just kind of catch his face as he's sitting in the corner.
Sure. Well, from what I gathered, he had a bit of a rough go, and I think if he minds the shadows, he'll take the initiative to move himself.
While the prayer of healing is coming to a conclusion,
It's concluded.
I would like to sit down next to Anu, and once again, I'm going to reach into my pack and pull out my little case, and I'm going to open up my very small violin that has all of the strings cut, and the bow that has the reed has been cut on it, or the hair, or whatever it is that you call. I'm a professional, whatever. And I'm going to say, we had talked about this at one time, about your magical abilities and your favors to Torm. I do not know Torm, but you do. What would happen if you asked Torm to fix?
Honestly, Byron, Torm is. I mean, his nature is from what I gathered, what I've been taught. I suppose his nature is what's the word I'm looking for?
Unknowable.
Sure. Let's
Sure.
go with that. But certainly it's certainly worth an ask. I mean, I would say if his presence was with us during the battle, and hopefully he was appeased, ingratiated. Hopefully he enjoyed the show, I suppose.
You did pretty good war. If I were your war parent of sorts, and you did good war, I would have been proud, and you did good war. I didn't see much of it because I was unconscious, and I'm not saying that to guilt trip you, not at all. I was outside the realm. It's fine. I want you to know.
Sure.
I want you to know it's okay. It's not.
I did what I could with what I had at the time, and then I got blown back into the stairwell and perpetually stunted. I'm sorry for that.
Don't apologize. You've done enough.
It's never enough. Um, I I'm trying to think. I'm flipping through my spells to see what I could do. Maybe. Um. I will. I will try to cast mending and
Oh,
just kind of do a little bit of a pep talk, if you will. Just say, Charm, I know that I've called on you quite a bit, and I am sorry for that. Uh, I believe we've given you quite the battle today, and if you could help in this small way and just grant us a little extra favor, I'm sure this would offer up more of a battle in the future, as we certainly have something big coming.
And
We
what do
need
you
all of our strengths.
and what are you specifically? What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to cast mending
Yes, I
without a
know.
thing.
Right. With uh, which part are you trying to fix?
The strings.
there are 4 cut strings and 1 cut
Okay.
bow.
Okay. Mm,
I know it's reach.
no. Make make a perception check.
Perception check. Okay. Slipping into Barman's accent.
It's pretty good. It kind of just falls out through
This
your
is
mouth. You,
pretty
you can't
good.
you can't not do
Uh,
it.
Perception. Oh, that's a natural 20. It's a
Woohoo!
natural 20.
The 2 strings, 2 of the strings of the 4, uh, kind of wrap around each other and boing, become 2 perfectly mended strings together. Do you feel that it was quite easy and is just something that rolls off the tongue quite easily, quite quickly, and is not something that takes a lot of effort to do? It's just like, boom, it's done. But when you did that, somewhere over there near one of those broken shelves, you kind of see and hear one of the shelves just go.
Like a reverberation?
Yeah.
I'll look over at Barman and I'm pretty pleased with that.
You should be
I,
very
uh,
pleased with that. This is amazing. It is amazing.
I am hesitant to try again, Barman. I don't understand gods in general. For a clerk,
It's
I have my
disconcerting a
beliefs,
little bit.
but
I'm not gonna lie.
it's probably not the most religious of any titled cleric, but I'm certainly willing to try again. But I think even Tarm might need to rest.
Oh, for sure. For sure. 2 strings
Yeah.
isn't bad. Um,
You have my word. I will try again.
very well. I thank you for your service.
Before, do you want to have him help you remove parts of that armor?
Do I need help? Oh, I guess I'm probably soggy too. Yeah. Barman, would you mind just getting the
Yes,
back
yes,
of
I'm
this
very,
for
very
me?
good. I'm very, very good at this. I'm very, very good at this.
I'm afraid if I don't dry out now, I'm really gonna start to stink.
Abel is Abel is preparing and has the food laid out. The food is cooking. The fire has gotten to where there's a number of really hot coals that have burned down, and then you've got along the rocks. You're setting all the different mess kits, and the food is beginning to cook. Anoa, looking about, one of the things with this room is that it is bone dry. There from the it doesn't look like, because of the slope of this floor, the water hasn't made it up to this area where you guys are camping in a long time. And as a matter of fact, that's why all the wood is dry and some of it's dry rotted. So there's no moisture anywhere in this area. The only thing that is liquid was pretty much the oil.
Okay. I'm still dull enough to spend some time searching around the room.
Okay.
Matt, I would like to check out those bookcases where I either heard or noticed a rumble when
Okay.
time allows. Just gonna throw
Sure.
that at you.
I'll get back to both of those. Folker, anything?
No, I'm just sitting.
Okay. Abel, besides cooking?
I'm sure cooking takes most of my attention, but yeah, if I can try to, while I'm there, I'm trying to get dried off a little bit as well.
Okay.
But
So as people begin various tasks of taking off the armor and laying it about in strategic areas around the fire, and maybe even setting up what do you call it, a line, a rope across between two of the shelves where people start laying their laying some of their clothes, some of their outer clothing to dry. And people kind of like picking their spots. It seems like everybody's picking a spot where they're going, and Abel's checking all the food and turning the fish over. After a small period of time, everybody has dressed down to where they're in the smallest clothes that they want to. Their clothes are being laid out to dry. They've got their packs out, and everybody's kind of situated into their area. Folker, you do notice that and Anu, that the jellyfish creature is kind of disengaged a little bit from where Anu was, and is kind of floated back up into the air, and it's avoiding the smoke, but it's kind of hovering near the ceiling. Its color has gone to a very, very, very dull, pale green, and its eyes are still open, but only seem to be about half open, as if it's satiated, and just kind of gonna hang out. It appears to be hovering above where Anu was, just 8 feet in the air, kind of against the ceiling, but not in the smoke.
Cool.
Right before everybody gets settled down, while Hanoa and Anu were kind of checking out the shelves, Hanoa's kind of going about haphazardly and kind of pushing stuff around and and making a little bit of noise and looking around, and she's just kind of shoving stuff back around, and she seems to like push across something that was where Anu, you heard that noise, and as she pushes, you see there are it's 3 rocks which are kind of together, and as she pushes them, they kind of like they rotate together. Go over there and you look, because you have a great perception and knew exactly where it was coming from. And you see that there are 3 rocks which they're smoother than you thought normal rocks would be. They're not polished around, but they're slightly more smooth, and they're definitely grayer, and they have a slight shimmer to them. And then you realize that when you try to pull them apart, there's just the slightest bit of resistance, that these are 3 magnetic rocks, all kind of together in this little lump.
Oh, you old softy. Battle worn, but not through and through. Thank
What?
you.
No, it's not a nude. Okay.
No, I'm gonna take these if you don't mind.
I don't know what they are. Have fun with them. And I go back over to the fire.
Where's Barman at this point?
kind of, I assume, well, actually, Barman, you say.
I'm just sitting by the fire.
Barman, may I see your instrument and the bow once more, please?
Sure, yes.
God damn it.
I provide my violin.
I take the lodestones that I just found, and I will carefully point at the strings that are still broken one at a time, and hold my pendant and say "Gamel," and try to cast mending on all of the broken strings and all of the broken bits as time allows.
As after your first trying, you realize that the pendant is not necessarily needed. You like the sense of the pendant against your skin, against your neck, and you just take the two lodestones, and they don't want to be separated. And it's almost as if what you would know as those old Chinese. You just kind of rotate them in one of your hands as you push your other hand across the instrument, and there are a number of breaks. It's got some nicks, and after 15 minutes of rotating these two lodestones in your left hand and bringing your hand around and looking at the instrument, after 15 minutes, you hand a very plain but a very undamaged violin and bow back to Barman.
You know, some folks believe that Tarm is just a saint of destruction, but sometimes even good things can come out of that. I hope this helps, Barman. I want to ask how it was broken in the first place, but I'm glad I could help repair it.
Oh, it's very easy. The people who hung me cut it. Yes. But I'm very happy that it is fixed. So we will see. I will.
I'm glad they failed.
No, they actually did cut it. Like it's been cut.
No,
for
hanging you.
almost a
I'm
year.
glad they failed.
Oh no, they succeeded at that too.
I mean, you're here. Well,
I mean-
okay.
That's his fault. Nodding to the judge.
Good job, Judge.
And yeah, I'm gonna tune up this little son of a bitch, and I'm gonna give it a little whirl.
I've never heard this played. There you go.
Oh, good job, Ben.
Abel is just about done and looks about and looks pretty pleased with the way that these cavefish, which were quite translucent and didn't look that appealing, but he's
They browned right up. They
but
look
gutted
good.
them, and they have browned up so that the skin is brown and the spots kind of shine a little bit darker brown to almost black. The eyes themselves have turned glazed over with the heat, and the fish are in the skillets, and the mushrooms actually are quite fragrant in a pleasing and earthy way. And dinner's ready.
I serve everybody a portion.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Much
wonderful.
appreciated. Thank you.
It's full.
I'm not going to promise this isn't going to poison us all, but it looks
We've had a
better.
hell of a day, so why not end it there, huh? Just forever done.
For
Maybe we could all
about
stay down.
for about 15 to 20 minutes, the group enjoys mostly silence, just the crackling of the fire, the eating of food, the peacefulness, and every now and then just Barman kind of between bites, just playing a violin in a little tune that's slow, methodical, and soothing. Mm-hmm.
At some point, I'm going to stop playing my violin, and I'm going to look over to Folker, and I'm just going to say, we've all experienced the darkness in one way or another. I don't know what awfulness you crawled out of, crawled through, but just know that today is today. And the darkness that you bring with you, it doesn't have to come.
I just nod.
Did you at least accept some food?
If you brought some over, but I didn't come over to the fire.
I handed you some.
Yeah, Abel said.
Yeah, yeah. Then
Okay,
I'm
good.
eating that.
Oh no, it's okay with that. That was a experience we all had together.
Yeah, why did we have that experience?
Well, I feel like it's all fucked and everything's going to just burn up. But
Yeah.
hey,
So Monday night for you.
Yeah.
it is Monday night. I don't know.
I think I should apologize.
For what?
I think it was my fault.
Yeah. Yet I don't believe that.
What was
No.
your fault?
Well, why would you think that?
I saw that place and I will not lie, I was curious. I don't know why Abby Mal there or Mal wanted to loop you guys into it.
Did you
That's
call,
not nice.
did you call our large friend Abby Malbear?
Nah, I wouldn't know it's an Aboleth. So, Mal.
I don't
Mal.
know. I like the name Abby Malbear.
Abby Mal. If I ever learned that it's an Aboleth.
Here's the terrifying thing: is this is all happening, but at the same time, there are people enslaved on the surface right now.
Yeah.
And that's not something I usually care about, but that's going on up there, and I don't know how we finish that.
In between us and that are the blue things.
Right.
Yeah, fuck those blue things. We got those.
I've
seen bigger things.
I was hoping that
Bet you have.
perhaps Mal's regime, if you will, could maybe assist us with our challenges above ground.
We could try asking, but I have a feeling they aren't concerned with that.
Sure.
Oh, there's something happening, and we're going to find out about it in the morning when Mal speaks back to us. But there's something.
My thought is that if Mal's regime is being challenged, perhaps that it might be something that we can utilize. Enemy of my enemy is my friend type of situation.
What if they're not enemies? Mal is expecting company.
Sure. Well, then we're proper fucked, Noah.
Hey, Judge.
Yeah.
You're Hanoa. You're not Judge. Hey, Judge.
Yes.
What do you think that when they keep saying the beacon? Do you think it was that thing?
I think it was the Tars. Why am I speaking in your tongue?
It happens. I talk so good. It's like honey falling out the mouth. Can't help it.
What's a Tarsk?
Right, what?
I didn't see it, but I knew when it happened. Far to the west, there was. Judge, do you want to tell it? Or do you want me to set you up?
You can set it up, but
Far to the west, about what was it like?
it was 10 years ago.
10 years ago, this beast crawled out of the earth. No one knows where it really came from. No one know what happened. It was near Oman City, and it just laid waste for like this path of destruction for about a month and a half. It just did stuff, and everybody raised it, trying to defend against it, but it was just pointless. It was just this massive thing. It was finally brought down by some group of heroes, but not before it did a lot of damage. And I don't know. The only person I've ever met who was close enough to actually see it and be a part of that was the judge.
Judge, were you one of these heroes?
No, and the story you told is what they tell everyone. But about 10 years ago, when I was 14, growing up in a small farming community of Dareth's Row, the Tarsh did come up out of the ground near Oman City, but not as close as they'd have you believe. We fled before it, and now I've got your accent, so I'm gonna have to work on that. I do like fled though. Anyway,
You can keep it.
You can keep it.
Can keep it up.
my family fled to Oman City with everyone else from our village, and when we got there, the nobles of the city needed to put on a show that they were saving everyone, so they press ganged most of the men and children, male children, into militia. We got 4 whole weeks of training. It's where I learned to wear the armor and wield the halberd. That's why I don't like the armor,
Oh.
because we marched out as a show of force while everyone else stayed safe in Oman City, and everyone I knew in my unit was killed before we even knew the thing was upon us. I woke up 3 days later underneath a barn that was laying on top of what was left of my friends. I've never seen my parents or sisters again. I was hailed as a surviving hero and tromped around at various parades after. Some group did take him down, but I was unconscious when that happened. And this job as a judgeship was a reward for being a hero fighting the Tarsh. I think it was mainly to get me out of the country so I couldn't relate my real story. So
Oh.
that's why I'm here. But that picture that we saw or some of us saw in the art house was of the Tarsk. I do remember it well. It makes your friend in the next chamber look minuscule. And if this was just a harbinger or a guiding beacon for this thing, I don't really want to have anything to do with it, but I know I can't fight it right now either.
But was the Tars actually destroyed?
As far as I know, yes.
That's
The
the
things
words
that
they
are
said.
gone can come back.
So
What is this word about the beacon? Though? Beacon, I don't understand.
I don't know either. I remember hearing it when we were trying to leave the Lololote.
You
I
said
tried
that,
to talk
yes.
about it before, and I was super confused. But I remember it was coming from the party, and they did talk about they were haunted by the brave ones that had died facing the beacon.
That could mean this creature that the judge had faced. What was the thing that she was saying? Uanti? It was like the beacon, right?
Yoharti.
Yoharti.
Your hearty.
The thing that scared me that I can't tell. I'm not a very smart man. I don't really know. I should have said dwarf, but whatever. But was she looking at you when she said the beacon, or was she talking about the Tarsk when she said the beacon?
I'm pretty sure she was blind, so she was just looking.
That makes me feel better. Okay. Not that I put a lot of faith in. Never mind.
It was unclear, Barm.
Okay.
Or I felt it was unclear. At the time, I felt like she was referring to me, but I'm not sure that's the case. And I'm no one's beacon.
Yeah, you're pretty good, Beacon. You're pretty good. You're my guiding light, buddy. It's okay. I'd be hanging from a tree if it weren't for you. It's okay. He's shy. He's very shy. It's okay.
I don't know though how that connects to me. I'm telling you guys, it's absolutely my fault that we got sent to that swirling chaos, as it was called.
When was it?
Well, then
that you
don't do that again.
Yes, listen
Oh,
to the
I
judge.
didn't mean to. It
But
wasn't
your
my
your
intention.
interest in such things does concern me.
Noah,
Not all ideas
What?
are good.
do you know how you do what you do?
I just do magic.
Sure,
I
but
don't know. I'm just a farm girl.
no. I'm just curious. I can do magic, but I I pull from the source of my saint. I I I would argue I know, well, I think I know where my magic comes from, or at least the spark. Is there something in particular that you think of before something happens, or someone, or is there a certain action that you do, anything to help figure out how you're able to do what you do?
I mean, I go into my bag, and I pull out the book that I've only shown Barman at this point. I I came across this book. I was just shut in for a really long time, and I was always looking for answers to the issue I was facing at the current time of my life. Um, and I came across this book, and I opened the pages, and I open it to the page with we'll say the imp. Um,
She opens this book, and it appears that it's a fairly old book, but it's got these large pictures that are, uh, in some ways, some of you guys have seen. They almost appear like children's drawings, but they're a little on the scary side of children's drawings. Um, they're colorful and bright, but they're definitely slightly scary for a children's book.
I know these books. The conclusions were all wrong.
so all the magic I've really done, I've gotten ideas from this book. It just gives me examples, I suppose, or I showed it once to an old lady in that town that I don't remember the name of. Matt, help me. What was the town? Dandin. In Dandin, I showed it to this lady, and she got this look, like I know what you're about, even though I don't know what I'm about. I never know what I'm about. And she gave me these, and I'm gonna pull out the desiccated newt, eye of newt.
Sure.
I use this when I you know those moats you see sometimes. I say Schulmacht. I don't know. It like intensifies the
Even
harm. I would
she's holding the Eye of Newt, and she just kind of says Schumann, and
I don't imply any like.
there's just around her just little bits of darkness just fly, but never coalesce to anything. But just to her holding that kind of thing, everybody kind of sees just.
Sure, she
I
doesn't
don't-
say the words, but she kind of said the
I
words.
kind of say, but I don't put the feeling into it. Sorry. See, I don't know anything. I just know what I've been shown.
Shown by who?
The book and the voice.
The voice.
I told you the vision I had with the play. If there's a voice.
Yes.
Well, I didn't really tell you. I was talked to. I didn't just see that chaos. It happened when we found the imp.
Was this after he struck you?
Yes, immediately.
Oh,
That's probably why I screamed a lot, huh?
it's understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, and it talked to me again.
Do you remember what it said?
It reminded me of the forms it taught me, and it was when we were fighting the blobby eye thingy. It helped me actually. I felt this probing. I don't know. It didn't feel great in my head, and there was a lot of voices going on, and the yellow things were laughing. And
Whoa, when you say the yellow things, what were the yellow things?
the seated dudes.
They were laughing?
I heard one laugh.
Did anybody else hear them laugh?
I did not.
They looked dead to me.
I
Oh
thought they
God.
were just husks.
I think
Oh.
I think your idea might be a little funky.
I mean, it's possible I'm crazy. I had a lot of hard years. I've no stranger to seeing things, but it's never been this real.
Hey, Judge, do you want to come with me and go get some cigarettes real quick? We could just go outside, grab some cigarettes. I'm just kidding. You guys are we're all fucking broken. Whatever.
It's
Yeah,
against the law
you
to
guys are.
smoke here. Barman.
No, you, Barman and Judge, you two aren't the only ones that have been very close to death. I'm sure it does things to you.
Yes.
What do you want to tell me, Barman? I think we can trust this group.
Wait, what do I want to tell you?
Didn't you just ask me to go outside and smoke cigarettes?
No, I was saying we pretend to go get cigarettes and then we just leave.
Oh,
It was a joke. It was a joke because everybody's
Ma
fucking
went out for
crazy.
cigarettes one day.
Yeah, Ma went out
Oh.
for cigarettes one day.
It's not a joke when it happens to you and it's your dad.
I imagine that would be a horrible feeling.
I got to go get cigarettes from another country. No.
Left my cigarettes on the cot. I'll be right back. You stay right here.
You stay right here.
You good kid. I don't know where we were in game.
No, that's exactly where we were in game. Is that
Close to death.
Close to death. I don't say anything else after that.
Here's the thing. Does anybody want to place a wager on whether or not we ever see the sun again? I say 2-1 no.
I say we see what this thing wants us to see tomorrow, and then we get back on track to try to help those captives.
But it does sound like the four previously that displeased Mal had the opportunity to run. I mean, if his, I don't know, but we might have an opportunity. I don't know whether or not it succeeds. I will probably die, but
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know what that
if
means.
we'll have to run.
I think we probably should run, but I don't think we'll be able to run.
I'm gonna eat all these fucking fish, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's
Hey.
everybody get a good meal in.
Hey, Master
Oh, he
Dwarf,
speaks.
Yes, Mr. Falker, how are you doing?
I'll take that bet.
2-1. Just to
Yep.
clarify, because I want to make sure, because I'm a fan of rhetoric, and I want to make sure all communication is above the line. Are you betting that we will or we will not?
We'll make it out.
All right, I'll
Well.
bet you.
Some of us will make it out.
Oh, that's dark. That's dark as
That's
fuck.
ominous.
2 gold. I'll bet you 2 gold. Wait,
Is gambling legal here?
judgy.
I don't know if this is your jurisdiction, Judge.
I will bet you
I
2
think
gold.
we're well below your jurisdiction.
Well below.
You're well below my juris.
Yes, it's a dick joke. Yes. I will bet 2 gold says that at least 3 of us don't make it to the surface and see the sun again. 2 gold. 2-1 odds. That means I pay you 4. Wait, I don't know odds. Whatever.
How does betting work?
I stand up and I walk over to the judge. I pull out 2 pieces of gold and I hand it to him. I say, "Yours good marker on this as anyone."
Yes. This is planning exactly as I hoped it would.
And then I turn around and I go back to my corner and I sit down.
All right.
I will note the 2 gold.
I will give my 2 gold too. And I will go sit down next to Falkor.
I don't condone gambling, so I thank you for your donations.
So is this fish
Yeah.
like salty or smoky or what?
By the time you guys have
Don't answer that. Keep going.
finished all the fish and surprisingly all the mushrooms, the mushrooms were kind of like I said, an earthy, but they were thick and almost like meaty tasting.
What did the mind control spores taste like?
And as you guys begin to sit in the warmth that this cave is now well well heated up, clothes are drying, bedrolls are beginning to take out. You guys are finishing up your talk, full stomachs. I think people have. Does anybody have water, wine skins, or?
I had those jugs
I have a water skin.
in a
Okay.
water skin.
I have a water skin as well.
So everybody's got plenty to go around.
Yeah.
So the day, which you're not quite sure since you've spent a little bit of time under the ground, and you're not sure of the time displacement that might have occurred when you went to the other place, but it's getting to the point now where, with full stomachs and satiated palates, that people are beginning to get sleepy. You're getting tired and realizing that rest is needed. There's still time to talk, and people are laying down, and plenty of time to continue. But
Barman
with the
was asleep
crackling of
like
the
5
crackling
minutes
of the
ago.
fire is just everybody's eyes are beginning to get heavy. And this isn't unnatural in any way. It's just tiredness. You guys have had the most long protracted battle that you guys have been in yet. The many tentacled, large, central-eyed, rubbery creature was a pretty tough fight. It tested you guys physically for a good while. I mean, that was almost maybe close to 2 minutes of pure fighting, and that was a difficult fight, and you're beginning to feel that just in tiredness.
Well, before I forget again, I'm gonna take the empty 2 flasks that I've been holding that had oil before that we used to refill the lantern, and I'm going to try to refill those 2 flasks full from the oil in the barrel.
Easily done.
Okay. So we're back up to 7.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to gather up, a nice pile of firewood, like segregate out some of the trash so it's not a smoky fire.
Okay.
Best I can. And while I'm doing that, I'm looking around for anything else that might be useful in this junk.
Okay.
I'm also going to take similarly, not because the judge did it, but just because I wanted to. I'm going to take my 3 warhammers and take them out and throw them on the ground, and then fill my bag with an equal amount of coal.
Okay. So how much do each warhammer? How much is each warhammer?
2
weigh?
pounds. So I'm going to grab 6 pounds of coal.
You have 6 pounds of coal.
I mean, I don't know if I could eyeball that, but we'll say it's fine.
Sure. And there's still coal left over after that, but you've gathered and replaced essentially the amount that the warhammer took up in the warhammers took up in your pack. Abel, looking about there, you guys pretty much got have explored everything in here. There's plenty of wood. The only other things that you find of interest in here are there is a barrel that is completely empty that has a lid which could be used and nailed and sealed. The barrel is old.
I cut armholes and leg holes in it.
You can. The barrel is about oil size, but it appears that it has never been used at all, and it's an empty barrel if you wanted it. And there is a large stack of tarps that are canvas tarps that have kind of stacked. They're dusty, but they do appear to be perfectly intact tarps. And outside of that, you guys have explored everything else that's within this room.
Can I construct a hot air balloon out of the barrel and the tarps?
And the coal?
Can we fly? Yes. Can we fly away to another land?
You may certainly try.
I point that stuff out. I am literally pretty much unable to carry anything more when I wear armor. So the canvas tarps might be useful. I point that out to Anu. She seems to like to sew stuff together.
I do seem to be the queen of linens here. How many tarps are there?
There's at least 10. They are larger and they are pretty heavy a piece. I mean, each tarp is pretty large tarp, maybe 15 feet by 15 feet, and it probably each of them weigh 10 pounds.
It's a tarp.
Fair.
You know, it's a real game when we're actually trying to figure out how to carry out canvas tarps from.
Did you guys fight the evil gods? No, but we got some fucking coal and some choice tarps. We're gonna have a
Very
tent.
exciting.
Yes, are we on the naughty list? Shit.
You
Is
could
that
make
what
a
this means?
you can make a very large banner
The name of this
with
episode.
the coal and the tarps.
Choice tarps.
Choice
Choice
tarp.
tarps.
Hashtag choice tarps. The other one I had was hashtag tangerine shimmer.
That was a good description.
Mm-hmm. Choice tarps.
Yeah, I'll grab some of the tarps. I gotta do a little bit of math here, and then I'll figure out how many.
I can probably take something. I don't know.
Outside of that, is there any further discussion or talk?
Well, back to, I think we kind of avoided the question of what do we do in the morning, and I think that Abel's definitely, we're doing whatever to kind of appease this thing. You know, if he wants us to watch something, we'll watch it. And then he would like to get back on track because I don't feel, yes, this means something, but I don't know that I know what yet.
I agree.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'd like to talk to our friend.
All right.
Well, that's fine.
You get like 15, maybe 30 minutes.
I'm sure it would
Maybe
like us out
35.
of its tentacles, as fond as it is of us.
Yeah, to be honest, I give us like 50-50 if it lets us leave.
Maybe I'll place another wager on that. I'll be happy to hold some more gold.
I don't have any other money. I go to bed.
Before you go to bed, I
Yes.
kick you back awake. Let's set a watch. Order or whatever.
Okay.
Because as safe as we are, I'm not interested in no one being awake.
Sure.
That's why we're still alive, Judge. And I pat him on the shoulder and I go to sleep.
And I pat him back on the shoulder and go, so you're up first.
All right, I'm up first. I'll take first watch.
I'll take second.
I'll take the last watch when the fire's probably almost burnt out, since I don't need it.
I can take the third watch, Judge, if you need to. Why don't you just rest?
Oh, I'm happy to take a watch.
It's okay. You're weak, Judge. That's what we're trying to say. So get your sleep.
Fair
It's
enough.
three. I mean, we got 3 watches.
Okay.
Okay, who's up first?
It's me. C'est moi.
Okay. So everybody, except for Barman, lays down, puts their head, and it's not too long, Barman, that you notice that everybody's breathing just gets slow and rhythmic, and you it gets slow and rhythmic, and it's not but about 10 minutes after people lay down their heads that you just hear that people are sleeping. Before you kind of settle down into it, Hantoimai turns around and looks over and says, I have the watch, if you like. If you wish to sleep.
It's very kind of you and very thoughtful of you, Master Erectness. But I think that we're doing okay. I appreciate it, but I can't let my friends down. I will stay on the watch over them. And if you hear any weird noises coming from in here, just keep looking away.
That is understandable. I shall be right here if needed.
Thank you.
And then turns back around. Okay.
Roll for tug or what?
Make a perception check. Yeah, if you're gonna tug, roll for tug, but make a perception check first.
What is that? Intimidation?
No, it's deception.
Persuasion.
You gotta persuade your tongue.
I really thought it was going to be performance.
No, I'm good. It's animal
Athletics?
handling.
Animal handling.
Wait, so did you say perception?
Actually,
That's enough, yeah.
if we were in a different edition, it'd be rope use.
Did you say perception? Is that what it is? All right, so here's perception. Out on the floor. I perceive nothing.
Whether it's just the sleepiness that you feel, you stay awake, but whether it's just the sleepy warmth, there is nothing, no sound heard other than the fire, and you just kind of add one log to it to keep it lit throughout your entire watch.
One log's all it takes.
Yep. And your watch goes by without incident.
I have no memory whatsoever of who is taking second watch. I think
Roll for it.
I think it was either Hanoa or Anyu. I'm gonna wake up Hanoa.
Hey, ding, ding, ding.
Was it your? Were you up next or what?
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, it's okay.
Anything?
It's okay to no, but it's okay to be creepy. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
All right. Dude's standing right outside the door, so if you try and tug in here, he'll probably hear, but we'll be asleep, so it's fine.
What would I be tugging?
Nothing. Good night.
Good night. I'm the creepy one. I'm the weird one. I don't know.
Okay. So, Hanoa, you sit up, and everybody is sleeping, and barman says, okay, time for you to, and begins a soft snore before he ever even finishes. As a matter of fact, you're not even quite sure that he did finish his sentence before he just closes his eyes and just begins to sleep.
Hey, don't make fun of barman's narcolepsy. It's not funny.
Hanoa, make a perception check.
Mm. 8.
Okay. Things are pretty quiet. Looking about, you do see that, like, you can see Hantumai like shifting, and you just kind of hear him shifting just back and forth, but doesn't appear to move at all. After a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes into your watch, everything seems to be quiet. You decide to add a fire to the log, or a log to the fire, not a fire to the log. Add a log to the fire.
I mean, I would do it that way too.
You grab one and you throw it on there, and the fire kind of flickers up a little bit, and your eyes just stare into it, and you just start looking into that fire, and the flames are flickering reflectively back in your eyes, and then you're just lost in the fire, and everybody else take off your headsets.
Bye, friends. Hello, new friend.
You know you're awake, but while staring into the fire, you just know that even though you're awake, you begin to dream, and you begin to have a vision. You're floating, weightless, endless expanse all around. You can see your own hair just kind of floating around your head. You then come upon a magnificent city. This city is just sprawling over this land. There are spires and towers and domes, all extremely lavish and beautiful buildings. This city is all over this floating island. When you kind of pan out a little bit, you realize that the island itself is this gigantic being. The island is the being, and this magnificent, beautiful city is built upon it. The being is face down, and the city is built upon its back, and it has 6 arms, each splayed out, 3 on each side, and large rows and streets go down each of the arms. Um, it the being itself is looks like it is turned to stone eons ago, and it's crumbling at the edges, and the rocks seem to be just kind of floating around this giant being island in which this city is taking up every single space that it possibly can upon this floating thing, this floating being island. Um, when a very sweet voice enters your head, and practice, my sweet, practice, mind, body, will. This is so that you may be a vessel for the ancient knowledge and the powers that will ascend you into the infinite, the serene, the gilded warrior worthy of my blessing. You will have enemies, but you must practice and hone your skills. Do you trust me? Do you trust me, my sweet?
I want to. Do you have a name?
Do you want to know me? Do you want to know who I am, my daughter?
Yes, please.
You must accept me. Do you accept me, my warrior?
Yes.
Oh, the enemies that you will have. We will strike at them when the time is right. Will you strike at them?
If it is your wish.
But we have allies. Do you want allies?
I love friends.
That is sweet. Thank you, my beloved. And I'm sorry for the pain. And then you're startled awake. And your stomach hurts. And it's almost more than you can bear, and you've got tears streaming out of your eyes because your stomach hurts. And your watch is done, and you just don't want to tell anybody.
Nope, I'm gonna keep holding on for a bit.
Right. Everybody's coming back. And Hanoa, it's time. Who do you wake?
I'm having a case of the barman. I wake on you.
Okay.
It's your watch. I gotta go to bed. Nothing happened.
Okay, you all right?
I definitely look a bit sweaty, and I just shake my head and go to bed.
Okay, rest.
Okay.
Is what's his pair still outside of the door?
What's his pair?
I was gonna
Yes.
say what's his nuts.
Hentomai?
Yes.
Is that the
Yes.
name you were looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Tuamai is outside.
I'm gonna make sure that my compatriots are all resting as best they can. Hopefully they're all sleeping well.
They are. None of them have seemed to move. Just glancing around, everybody seems to be sleeping. Hanoa has apparently gone to sleep. She's got the deep breathing breaths of being asleep, but her brow is drenched in sweat.
Hmm.
And you think that she's got, being kind of close to the fire, you're not completely clean. She has some soot and some dirt on her face, and you can tell that she definitely has tears that have run out both of the corners of her eyes and have dried, and she has small dried streaks of clean streaks of where tears have gone down both sides of her eyes. But she is she is asleep, even though she is sweating.
Oh, poor dear. Um,
To her touch, she is feverish.
okay. I'm going to pull out a little bit of the incense that I have and put it in my copper thingy, technical term here, and try to just censor. Yes, thank you. I'm the worst cleric. I don't know what this shit's called. Um,
But at least you're not raping little boys, so you're good.
Holy shit.
Wow.
True.
I pull myself back into character, and I'm gonna light it a little bit off of it and kind of put it in her general direction. Maybe it'll soothe her. And then I just want to peek around the corner and just kind of see what he's doing, what our watcher is doing.
Sure. You take a couple steps towards it, towards him, and he turns and says, "Yes, is there anything I can do to help?"
No, thank you, but I was just honestly curious. It's hard to keep a watch all night. It seems like you've been there since, well, you left us.
I am making sure you are safe, even though this area has been deserted for some time.
Sure. Uh, okay. Well, thank you for that.
Of course.
Just gonna go back and check on my companions. May Tarm bless you. Or not, depending. Don't if that's offensive, then Torm don't bless.
I'm not sure that I understand, but thank you.
It's good intentions, always. I'm gonna awkwardly make my way back. Um, kind of just check on Hanoa again, check on the judge, just make sure, not being creepy, just making sure that they're resting soundly, and then I'll actually sit and do a watch.
Okay. Making your rounds, it's the same as it was. Uh, everybody is sleeping well. The only one that seems to be uh, fitful in their sleep is Hanoa, who does stay asleep, but has been kind of shifting and moving about, groaning a little bit, and is still sweating.
Poor dear. I I don't move her, but I'll keep an eye on that. And I'll just sit and take my watch as quietly as possible.
Okay. Was there going to be anybody else, or you were finishing out the night, weren't you?
No, Fulker is up next, I
Okay.
believe.
Okay. So your time goes, and it's time to wake up Folker.
Can I make a roll for it just for the hell of it?
Did you not make a perception?
I didn't make a roll. I kind of pottered around a little bit and had an
okay.
conversation.
Oh yeah. So once you sit down, yes, make a perception check. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Oh, we're doing so well tonight. That's a 5.
You feel fairly confident just having walked around in this cave that it just like you don't really feel the need to look around too much and don't notice anything that happens.
Well, that's not dangerous at all. Okay. I will do my turn poorly, and where's our friend, our fish friend? Is it still in the room?
Mm-hmm. Up above, just kind of floating up there.
Just kind of keep an eye on that, probably more than the watch.
Okay.
And when my time is up, I'll just gently wake Folker and say.
The only thing that changes about it is that it appears to be asleep as much as the rest of the group. There's one instance where one of the eyes kind of opens up and looks at you, and when it does look at you, it turns to it turns from its pale green to a very soft pink when it stares at you, and then its eye closes and it goes back to this pale green.
I don't know what that means, but that's damn adorable. And I'll wake up Fulker. And say, if you're up for it, the watch is yours.
No, yeah. Thank you.
Are you all right?
I'm not sure if that's picking up, so might just turn it on and talk quiet like.
I
Are you
just realized
alright?
my mic has been off for like 10 minutes, so you're
Yeah,
welcome.
I'm all right. Thank you. Though, is he? Oh, he's still here.
Seems to be sleeping soundly. It's a cute little bugger.
Yeah.
I mean, still could be dangerous, but cute.
I don't think so. I mean, all the things we've run into down here, I think that's about the only one I ain't somewhat scared of. So.
Fair enough. Well, if you need anything, feel free to wake me.
Yeah, we'll do.
Good night.
Night.
Okay. Volker, are you going to do anything, or you just need to make a perception check?
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I'm gonna. I want to look at the floaty guy
Okay.
and see if there's any reaction to me being, or if he moves at all, or if he's dead. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on him while I do it. So I guess it might be a mutual thing.
Okay. Make a perception check then.
All right. It's a 20, a dirty 20.
Dirty 20. All right. Okay. The only thing that's different is that Anu goes to sleep. Abel stays asleep. Barman is slightly snoring, like he is in his video. The Shane, the Hanoa appears to be feverish, and the jellyfish type creature has its eyes closed and just kind of has a pale green that just kind of stays there. It doesn't appear to move or anything such as that.
Ooh. Seeing that Noah seems feverish, I'm gonna go over and sit down beside her and just rest my hand on her shoulder just while she's sleeping.
Okay. During the night, you see that her forehead is like still there. It beads sweat and then gathers and then sweats on either side depending on which way she's kind of turning this way or that. After about 20 minutes, she turns to one side. You just feel a tear just go down her eye. I mean, it appears that.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna roll a medicine check.
Okay.
25 on a medicine check.
I'm trying to figure out how you would. So while she's sleeping, you begin to get concerned. It's getting close to the end of your watch, but you're beginning to get concerned as she is making noise, and then you kind of like check, almost probing for muscle density and skeletal girth. You eventually, sorry, I couldn't resist. You get to
We mock what we don't understand.
you get towards like her stomach area, and you don't know Hanoa real well, but you've seen enough, and like you start kind of pressing past the ribs and in like towards the stomach area, and you realize that the stomach is quite distended. That there's something in there that like her stomach is big and like her stomach area feels hardened.
Okay. Well, I'm going to.
And she moans and like shifts around but doesn't wake up.
So, I am going to get out my herbalism kit, which is the one kit that I actually had,
Okay.
and I'm going to I want to try to fabricate a fever breaking poultice of some variety, something like that. My goal is just to take some of the ingredients that I have and make something that might something like a topical cream. Or
Okay.
something.
You easily are able to do that. You can keep your 25, and so you make it topical. Do you want to make anything that would be ingestible?
No, because she's asleep. I want to let her sleep. So
Okay.
I just want to like rub it across her forehead where the sweat is and see if I can help break the fever or something.
Okay. Um,
And quietly. Like I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it. It's
right.
just something I'm doing to pass the time.
Got it. So you make it's not even a poultice. You just kind of take what you normally would make to a poultice and you kind of make it almost a cream. And in some senses, it's almost like a mentholated cream. And you kind of put that right around her neck and then on the top of her forehead to try to cool her down. And for about 10 minutes, and it's you're guesstimating that the morning is coming fairly soon, but for about 10 minutes, she seems to be restful. And then Noah wakes up and screams and wakes up the entire camp.
Do you want me to do that in character? You don't.
That's up to you, but no.
Thank you. Yeah, I Wilhelm scream it.
Yeah.
Wait, I think it was too quiet. There we go.
So Hanoa sits upwards and immediately grasps her stomach area and begins almost heaving. Everybody is awakened at this point.
I instantly try to help. Didn't want to stir her in her sleep, but
So many people, y'all are all private messaging me if I'm about to give birth.
It's bug.
Like absolutely breaking this moment.
There is you feel the need to throw up.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna let myself throw up.
It's hard. You need help. It's something you have to throw up and you're not able to do it.
Do I know?
It's almost to the point now where something is coming up and you're choking. You can't breathe.
Need
All
like Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah, Folker, you did the medicine check before. You would know that would be something you could try.
All right. Yep.
Okay.
Doing it. Just gonna swing around behind her and put my arms around her and just.
As you do that, you get kind of frantic with it because you realize that her mouth is agape and her eyes are almost bulging, and she is not breathing, and you're trying to get this thing out, and it happens for almost an entire minute, and when finally, about this big, a greenish and black sphere. An ovular sphere comes out of her mouth and then hits the ground in front of her. And then the rest of her half-digested fish and everything else comes out from her stomach. And it hits that ground.
I grabbed my halberd.
Okay. Everybody kind of scrambles. Hanoa, inside of your head, a voice, a female's voice with anger says, "Strike!"
That
Strike it now.
I blast it. I
Eldritch
cast Eldritch
Blast?
Blast.
Everybody's kind of taken aback as all of a sudden what's the word you used?
Very cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
As Hanoa sits back and then strikes with Eldritch Blast this thing, which it hits the ground and dust comes up and everything, but the most of this thing it begins to grow and it expands from double the size, and it becomes green and black from the blast. Everybody's kind of taken aback, and all of a sudden she just cast this bolt of energy at this thing.
Can I pick it up and throw in the fire?
Are you gonna? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does
Pick
the
it up.
voice react to me as he goes to it?
Yes. The voice in your head says, "Strike again."
Back away, Barman! I do it again.
Okay. Your words and the bolt of energy come back and strike this again, and it enlarges again about another third the size. And then
I'm gonna grab Barman and try to pull him back a little ways and start gesturing for everyone to get the hell back.
I'm looking for a bipedal forklift.
My daughter.
I don't get it.
You
I know
bitch.
you don't. It's okay.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Sorry.
and then finally, Noah, within your head, the voice says, "Yes, now curse."
I get out the Eye of Newt
Hmm.
and I say Shulmat, and I cast Hex on it.
These motes of darkness that you've all seen just come down and surround this thing, which is now green and black and pulsing. And then it just surround all these dark motes surround it, and then the thing just looks like it's getting ready to. Barman, are you still wanting to throw this in the fire? No. I mean, are you trying to break away from Volker? Okay. And then this thing just kind of rots, and escaping from it is just a tiny bipedal almost looking smoke creature. It's only about this size, and you can't see the end. It definitely has 2 arms and 2 legs, and it has a head, but most of that is obscured at the ends of just this swirling mass of smoke. And it comes up to Hanoa's face, bows, and then swirls around and rests upon her shoulder.
Ah.
I'm out.
Yeah, no, and that's where we're gonna end it tonight.
Hi, friend.
Bless you.
And that is where we'll end it tonight.
If I swing the halberd, do I get the thing and her?
Probably should strike me down. All right. Well, thank you for all of you out there who have joined us this evening, even for a moment or the whole time. If you did, we really appreciate you visiting us and just trying to see what we're all about. There's clearly some weird stuff about, and I'm probably I'm at fault. So before we officially go, I want to give a thank you to some of the music provided in this episode, graciously done by Ben here. He is a rock star at this music mixing stuff. We'd like to thank Ben Sounds for music, and additional music is provided by Scott Buckley at www.scottbuckley, that's SCOTTBUCKLEY.com.au. Hope to see you again next time. Well, good night.
Cheers.